Bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle, bicycle, bicycle.
Who joined us in this project last year, and I would like to tell you something more about the project. Well, let me first introduce myself. I'm Jeffrey Bijles. I'm coming from the Netherlands, and my hobbies are sports. And whether I cycle to my work, I play soccer, I like boxing, and when I'm at home, I'm looking at the Champions League final. I'm sorry guys.
Champions League
I'm looking at the Olympic Games, I'm looking at langlaufen, I'm looking at gymnastics. I like sports. And there, next to that, I'm a science teacher as well. And can you combine them? Well, during my study, and actually after my study, I found out, yes, you can combine them. It's very easy to combine science and sports, and it all becomes very predictable, and it's all, in a way, a kind of science. And the more I got to know about it, the more I was drawn into it. Can I also prove this? And can I also test this? And does it work? And do the results prove what my hypothesis is? Well, it seems, yeah, you can. Well, okay, the basics about our project. Let's first start about that one. Science of cycling, in its essence, is the following. We do assignments about your own body, measurements on your own body, and its capabilities. What can you do? What can you perform in sports? And we based it on measurements of a self-built ergometer. We're going to talk about that later. We're going to show it to you. And of course, the European curriculum of all the science subjects, like there is physics, biology, and chemistry. Okay, that's the basics. The other basics is, the second basic part is the participating schools all have to do the same reading. So we all did the same theory. We know the same things. And then you can cooperate, because you did all the same theory in advance already. Now we have the reader, The Science of Cycling, and it deals with a lot of science about cycling, about sports. You can see it in general. From that, if you've done that, we did the measurements on the ergometer, we did the reader, then you can say, yes, now we're going to do a step more advanced. We're going out into the field and we're going to test it all. And that's where the excursion on Tenerife was all about. We did all the measurements on your body, we know the theory, and now we're going to see in real life if I can really predict the results, if really the outcome I predicted is proven by the theory. Okay. Well, I talked to you about this reader, which I brought with me. You can also watch it if you want to. But also about the ergometer, because it's about your own body. The measurements on your own body, and you have to do the physics and the biology, the chemistry, all about your own body. Well, we brought this equipment with us, and Mr. Rudy, can you tell me something about this, what this very sportive student is doing?
Now he's doing the Cocconi test. Maybe you know the Cocconi test. You know the Cocconi test? Yeah? He's doing the Cocconi test, and meanwhile he's doing the Cocconi test. He measures his oxygen. That is oxygen output. And you can show it on the graph. Oxygen is on the right. Meanwhile I have to increase the power. On the right there's the oxygen. He starts with 20.9. This is the oxygen in the air, 20.9%. And now he's cycling, it's about 16%. So he's using about 5%. So he's breathing in 20.9, breathing out about 16. You understand? And on the left side, you have the flow, the airflow. So it measures the amount of air he's breathing in and breathing out. And after, when we register this, we can measure the amount of oxygen per minute, and it's called the VO2 max. Yeah? And maybe Jeff can show you something more.
yes, I will talk a little bit more. You can see a lot from these graphs. We can do a lot of calculations from these graphs. But what you can see is that his oxygen uptake is not getting more efficient. Because he's breathing more heavily, his oxygen uptake is not improving. He isn't, though, breathing much faster in and out. And of course his heart rate is going up. But that's normal if you sport, huh? Well, there's a lot to show from these graphs, a lot to find out about these graphs with chemics, physics, and everything. Well, let's think back about 10 years ago, he was asked to tell something about the evolution. Yes, the assignment was make an international project. Well, then of course it's in English, and it should have a challenging level of science. Well, what about? About what? Well, my hobby was sports. Yeah, my experience with international education was, mostly the students are not very active. Sometimes they're not very attracted to the subject. It can be arts, and arts is very nice, but some students are not attracted to it. So you should keep them busy. You should let them do something, not sit around, but do actually something. Well, then we get back to these items where the whole project is about. If you've done this reader, and you've done the measurements of the body, then we will go to a central place in Europe, and there we can cooperate, as Paula already told you, on the assignments. In the international groups, Italian, Dutch students can cooperate, finding out even more about science in the field. And of course, like with most things is, you have to think of in advance. If students should get, and schools should get enthusiastic, then the project should have quality. The numbers should be right. If they're not right, you think, yeah, well, what are we doing here? But the numbers should be okay, they should be proven. You're outside instead of in a classroom. That will give you more affection with the subject. If it has a nice environment, you can still enjoy that one. Cooperation between international, that's always nice, not working with international students. And working practical and having a lot of freedom and responsibility for yourself. Well, if you look at all these things, then sports can be an ideal subject to do this. And that's why we choose sports. Why we have chosen sports. Well, I'd just like to give you an impression of 2 minutes of what we're doing. This is not with your class, with your school, because I didn't have the movies yet, but with another school, and we have a look at the movie.
Ik lig op de kamer met 2 Spanjaarden. En ja, natuurlijk dan eet je samen, weet je wel. Je praat samen. 1 keer, 5. 1 keer. Ik heb ook niet gaan zitten.
We gaan als voorgerecht congres eten. En als hoofdgerecht gaan we rijst met kipcurry maken en paprika. En als nagerecht gaan we de nationale maken.
They are very good persons in my room, in my apartment. We are like a little family, and we speak. I cook for us, and they cook for me. We have the dishes. We speak. We explain our experience, our different things, and it's very, very good. I think.
Staat heel tijd te wachten.
ben ik er bijna. En ja, als je boven bent, dan geeft dat zo'n hele grote kick.
Okay, well, that was a short impression about what we were doing. We're actually outside cycling, doing all measurements. I hope you could see that. And it was a nice surrounding, like I said. This was on Mallorca, actually, it was not on Tenerife. Yeah, well, Roberto, thank you for participating and helping me out. Roberto. Okay, well, this is the graph, and from this graph we can do a lot of calculations. By looking at this, you can see that his oxygen thing is getting less efficient, but his breathing is getting faster. This means we're getting a maximum somewhere. Somewhere, this problem of less oxygen uptake and this more breathing in and out is getting to maximum, and after that, we're going down again. Well, this means your performance is going up, and after that point, your performance is going down. You can calculate this point, and that's what we do with science. You have to look at the percentages here, and the percentage, and the exact volume there. You have to calculate the circumference, everything, blah, 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 blah. And that's what the students have to do to find it out. Also the heart frequency. If I look at the heart frequency, I can combine it with the computer on the bicycle. The computer on the bicycle shows the power. So how many watts he has paddled. And with his paddling, with the watts, I can see how much his performance is. And I can compare individual students. If one is doing 200 watts, that's pretty heavy because he's very light or she is very light. But and the other person, who is quite heavy, can do 200 watts. Well, maybe watts is a very difficult understanding unit in physics. But if you once paddle 200 watts, it gets much more easy to understand why 100 watts is a lot more easier than 200 watts. Well, thank you, Rudy, and we head on. What did it bring for the students? What did they say? Okay, this was nice, this was not so nice. They like it because every student has to do a calculation from his own performances, so it's about your personal body. Of course, it's outside, it's practical, learning, the things I already mentioned. We go with classes, with groups, and it's nice to work together with a group. You get more acquainted with each other when you're working together with a group. Working with a teacher is different because you have a lot of responsibility. Go outside, go to your cycling track and do the test out there and bring back your results and calculations. It's a lot of responsibility. Of course, the exchange is nice, meeting other students. And yeah, we try to keep it a little bit healthy. Working outside, good food. That was what the students said to me. After asking every time what they thought was a positive point, on the left it was the students, on the right on the other side are the teachers, and they all have different opinions, of course. What's the big advantage of the project as the teachers see it? Of course it's in English. We have this term now, which is very popular in education, innovative and new. It's challenging, rewarding, and you can really try your performance. Subject integration, it's English, it's physics, it's chemistry. You get insights into the values of the scientific research or matching results. Okay, so finally, talking about my project, about sports and science. I think sports can make learning fun, and learning can be fun using sports. When you are in sports activities, your relationship to your teacher is different than you're normally in the classroom. So it gives a different relationship, and the whole attitude is different during the project. That's what students and teachers say. If you look at your own personal achievements and your own personal results, it's more motivating to do your assignments than you do assignments using from a book. Being busy all day with sports and then do some calculations, just being very tired and then sitting back, do some calculations and drink something is a nice thing to do. And it gives you, at the end of the day, a rewarding feeling. You've been busy mentally, you've been busy physically, you have a busy day, you did a lot, but it was okay. You did something of physical, you did something of mental, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Which gives sports the advantage of being a good activating didactics in education and in science. And of course, sports always has this great climax in the end. You can do we do a climb of 400 meters, 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers long, and it's quite intensive. We make a race of it, and everybody does his best, and that's great to see. We have a great climax, and finally a competition, and it's a nice thing to do at the end, and to conclude the whole project. Okay, the final results of the test there. I've already talked about this one. The evolution of the project. Well, once we started with 15 students per year, one small group was coming, and now we have 100 students per year coming over. We started with some measuring tape and stopwatches and some palms putting over there, and then with bicycles riding around it, and now we have breath analyzers, saturation measurement, where we have this device. It's very small, but very effective. We use it as well, different calculations. We only had Dutch students in advance, we're Dutch schools, so we had Dutch students in advance, but now they're coming from all over Europe, Italy. Science and cycling. Before it was, we had science apart, and then you do some cycling, but now it's really science, cycling, symbiosis. We show people mountain biking, we train some techniques and tactics, and you can still see that it improves your science performances. Sometimes the students had a little bit of a holiday attitude arriving in the beginning, but now they have a very cooperative attitude. They really want to learn, they really want to find out how I'm doing, how is my sports doing, what can I perform. And in the end there was, of course, I hope you liked it, let's say goodbye, bye, and they left. But we at least have a more advanced program for people, even they want to go further, deeper into the details of the science of cycling, and they can go using this more advanced equipment. And then you can prove, you can see that you can predict the results from your body even better. Okay, if anybody should be interested, I can note your email 3 times a year. I'm putting out some kind of emails with information about the project. So if you would like to hear something about it, just write your email down, and I'll give you an email once in a while. Are there any questions? No questions. Then finally, yeah, that's just me as a professor speaking here. But